Hi everyone, my name is Joel. I am currently taking radiologic technology here in the Philippines, and this presentation is intended as my own review or of some sort of the lesson. Now, if you are pursuing any career in the medical field, it does not really matter whether or not you go to nursing, you go to radiologic technology, physical therapy, occupational therapy, or whatsoever. You would have to go through learning anatomy and physiology because um, that course will definitely hunt you um, through the process of becoming a healthcare professional in the future. So right now we're going to be discussing an overview of the anatomy and physiology. Um, by the end of this lesson, we expect to be able to identify and and define what is anatomy, what is physiology, and also be able um, to identify the relationship between anatomy and physiology. All right, so let's start the lesson. So let's first define what anatomy is. We're not going to go into details or the nitty-gritty details of anatomy as well as the history of anatomy, but one thing is for sure, we're going to have to define what is anatomy. So anatomy actually came from Greek words, tomi, which means to cut, and then ana, which means apart. So we have to put it together, and then you'll get anatomy. So anatomy is a field in science that studies the structure and the shape of the body and its parts, as well as the relationship of these parts to one another. So in anatomy, we have gross anatomy and microscopic anatomy. When we say gross anatomy, that is the study of large and easily observable anatomical structures. So everything that you could see with your naked eyes, um, that is gross anatomy. So whenever you study anatomical structures that you could see with your eyes, that's gross anatomy. On the other hand, microscopic anatomy is um, something that you would need the help of a device for you to be able to see the 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 structure of the body. Let's say, for example, um, whenever you're studying red blood cells, you won't be able to see red blood cells with your own eyes or with your naked eyes, but you would need the help of a microscope. So, hence microscopic anatomy. So, all right. So now that we have already defined what anatomy is, it's time for us to define what physiology is. So if anatomy is about the structure of the body and the parts, as well as the relationship of these parts to one another, physiology, on the other hand, is the study of how the body and its parts work or function. So it actually came from the words physio, which means nature, and ology, which means the study of. So, as mentioned, anatomy is about the structure and the body parts. Physiology is about the function of those structure and body parts. All right, so are you getting comfortable with the terms anatomy and physiology yet? Well, we can put it this way. Anatomy answers the questions what and where, while physiology would answer the questions when and how. So anatomy would answer what are the organs, what are the name of the organs, where are those organs found, while physiology would answer when would that organ kick in or when would that organ starts to function and how does it function. In, in a way, anatomy and physiology also answers the questions why. Why is it located right there? And why does it function that way? So that's how we could put anatomy and physiology, and you could see the relationship already between anatomy and physiology. So you see, anatomy and physiology are always, always, always inseparable because the structure determines what functions can take place in that particular part of the body.